It's the SDG Podcast. Before we get started, you can check us out on the web at solutiondesign.com/podcast or find us on all the social medias, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Solution Design. It's 2025, gentlemen. A whole new year of podcasting. Thanks for being here. So today we've got the mighty Chad Juttner. We've got Peter Lawrence, the voice of reason. We have Eric Schneider, the man who knows everything.
Howdy.
I'm pretty sure. And I'm Kyle Bacher, and I'm also here. So I think our last podcast, we did a year in review. So this is going to be 2025, a year in preview. What's going to happen this year? How are things going to shake out? Do you have any predictions? What is happening? I have some.
And then if we're wrong, we're just going to delete this and forget it happened, right?
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah, we'll go back and retcon everything. Yep. We'll do voiceovers with the correct information.
No, that's not true. The idea of punditry is to always be wrong. I mean, look at the stock picking of what's his name, the excited guy.
Oh, Kramer.
Yeah, Kramer.
Sal. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the race this year on the auto trading platform is inverse Kramer versus Nancy Pelosi, because she seems unbeatable. But she had what was the company that sank every airline because their security product?
CrowdStrike.
Yeah. She had a substantial position in CrowdStrike, and then that set her back a little bit. But it was neck and neck between inverse Kramer and her at the end of the year.
And now we have these Stream Decks. It's our beginning into the world of having buttons we can push, like That's Jim
right.
Cramer.
Yep.
Sell.
Spinny lights. Those are next.
So
I kind of wonder.
My new boss mentioned that we're like something about object-oriented programming becoming less popular and functional programming becoming more popular again. I don't know anything about that. Have you guys heard anything?
Did he say that's been the story for the last 20 years, or?
I don't know. I'm not going to say his name. I don't want to make him look bad.
I was wondering if this is like fashion trends where it just goes in the big circle, where it's functional is hot and then it's not, and then OO is hot and then it's not.
I'll admit that I have not programmed anything in F#, Microsoft's functional programming language from, I forget what year they released it, but it's been a while. Maybe it's going to be taking off now all of a sudden, because who knows? Getting a paradigm shift into a company, is probably almost as difficult as getting a language shift into a company. So if you get a company to switch from Java to C# or C# to Java or C# to Node or Node to C# or something like that, or C++ to anything, those are pretty big challenges.
I've seen challenges in going from .NET 6 to .NET 8,
I've lived challenges going .NET 6 to .NET 8. So yeah, right. I totally agree. Chad, you always stay up on the latest Java. Java, where are we at now? What is the official technical number of Java?
21 is our LTS version, our long-term support version.
Okay.
I don't know. As far as object-oriented versus whatever, I think people talk about it more than people care about it, right? Because it's fun to jibber jabber about it and prophesize and whatever else, but I think my customers just want something that works, and they don't care necessarily, especially in nowadays with containerization and everything else. I think the edict is just get it done, right? And
always.
I have had that multiple places now where we don't necessarily care about the language or the methodology behind the language or whatever. We just want code that works and solves a problem. And if that's Java, awesome. If it's C#, larger organizations have both,
right?
And they survive just fine. So
usually through acquisition, but yes, they have both.
Yeah, so it's kind of boiled. It's simplified down to almost first principles. Code that works. That's kind of core to everything. Give us something that works.
Yeah, I think. It's the Agile manifesto. It's one of the top 5 edicts. There is the truest sign of success is working soft. I'm butchering it, but that I actually care about, and not the processes, not the procedures, not the language, not the philosophy behind the language, but just get something out there that works. And to that end, I think one of the 2025 things is, I hate talking about AI. I lead our AI community. So I like talking about it a little bit, but I hate bringing it up so much. But like, I whipped up a side project over the weekend. Well, not over the weekend, over New Year's Day. The speed at which I can do that now with AI assist I was pretty freaking happy with it, right? Instead of like tearing through API docs and references and, you know, all of the documentation around a language and APIs and everything else, having a AI assist ride side saddle with me while I'm writing something, I mean, it tripled how fast I was able to do something, which is, I think, going to be a huge thing for this year. Is like, instead of talking about AI, we're going to be actually using it and realizing a lot of the gains this year instead of just kind of.
So it's finally here?
I mean, it is for me, yeah. And I think larger organizations are going to start opening the gates a little bit. I'm hoping a couple of places specifically that I have in mind let me use it more and more, because the gains are super obvious now to me. Not that they weren't before.
Microsoft just bundled Copilot for GitHub with GitHub accounts, so you just get it. It's just part of it now. No additional like price or anything like that. It's just, here you go, which I thought was cool, but I don't use it. I'm not a programmer, so yeah. I probably wrong. I was going to talk about like flip phones, like folding screens, but I guess that was 2024 or 2023. So
it's gonna be the trifold next is the big thing.
It's gonna be the wad. You can wad it up in a ball, shape memory alloy, but it's transparent aluminum, something like that.
The Infinity Fold phone, is that what you're calling it?
I'm predicting that this is the year of the pro-nuclear power campaign, where we're going to start seeing a lot of rah-rah around it, because I think AI and crypto are going to suck all the juice out of the world. We can't keep up with it. We're not there yet. So we're going to see a global brownout on, it's going to be September, maybe October 12th. So mark your calendars.
Wasn't October 12th the Mayan date? Or was that a different 12th?
Yeah.
I don't know. Somebody
just say
Google
November
it.
3rd.
I don't have podcast clone AI or helper AI to pop things up yet, but
yeah. I wrote up my list. I had that on my list too, Kyle, of like the private sector for the reasons you just named are going to suck the world dry. So they're going to be looking for every bit of efficiency that they can gain, and nuclear is still where it's at for that.
Got to get over that bad rap.
Yeah, I think they talked about that like Microsoft, I think, trying to like stand up some old reactor or something, because
that was Google.
3 Mile Island.
Was it Google? Yeah,
that was Google. 3 Mile Island.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
There's still the good towers. Like there's only one bad tower, and so they want to, I guess, fire up the good tower. My buddy is like super fan of anything nuclear, so he reads all about it, and from what he's told me, it's super safe now, and they can make super safe smaller nuclear plants. I mean, they power like aircraft carriers and submarines.
They do.
Why not?
Get your backup nuclear generator instead of backup gas-powered generator. That won't start.
Actually, my electricity, I think, comes from a nuclear power plant out in Big Lake or somewhere. I think that Superman movie is going to break every record in the book when it comes out.
Which one is that? Is that
the James Gunn?
The James Gunn one, yeah. Going for comic book accuracy seems to be the game.
Does that ever win?
And they put this really cool thing into the movie that has been missing for a while.
Oh man, I really liked Watchmen, and
Watchmen was good. But I don't know, was it comic?
I'm ready
accurate?
I'm ready for an upbeat,
a more upbeat, Zack Snyder,
like happier, more fun.
The new Super has the dog finally. It's the first live action
Crypto,
and I am looking forward to it for that and that only. I think that'll be really good.
When I watched the preview and I saw Crypto, I literally shed a tear of joy.
Wow.
It made me so happy.
Has Crypto been in the comics for a long time?
Yes, 60s.
To be one of those people that have not kept up my comic book use since the 3rd grade, I just haven't been deep into it. I've read about it. It looks super fun. It looks, I've seen Big Bang Theory. It looks fun on there, but then it's time to go invest my money, and I'm just like, maybe not.
1955.
There we go.
Superboy's Pet Dog, Adventure Comics number 210. So
So it's been a while.
Yeah.
And somehow it escaped the Richard Pryor Superman 3. I don't know how.
But shaving those little quarter cents, half pennies off those checks and gathering it all together, that's genius.
That got caught, though. Somebody got caught this year, right? Or 2024?
Yeah, somebody actually did that.
It was just a test.
We were just talking about this on my project. Somebody got caught doing the Superman problem, and somebody said, "No, that's the Office Space problem." Well, he said, "No, Office Space stole it from Superman."
Yeah.
And I think they even Office Space.
It's like growing every time. Anytime someone thinks that Family Guy wrote anything original, like that's from Family Guy. Like, no, it's not.
No,
it's not. No. You need to find it.
They even went full circle where they just copy pasted a YouTube video into the show, and then because of the way Content ID is, they got the original video got taken down because it was in Family Guy, which is just disheartening.
That's really sad.
So with the copyright ending on
1929,
there's a Mickey Mouse, like a Disney animation now, and
Steamboat Willie is public domain.
And Hemingway.
We're slowly creeping up to the point where like the Mickey Mouse that we know, that the red suspenders with the yellow buttons, he's coming soon. Winnie the Pooh is public domain. Let's see, a lot of the Matisse, not Matisse. Gosh darn it, there's a handful of other, like, I forget,
like artist guys, like pictures, paintings, or
it was something else. Anyway, the coolest thing that's come out of a lot of this public domain stuff, I don't know if you guys have seen the Winnie the Pooh. There's a movie called Blood and Honey. It's a Winnie the Pooh movie. It's a Winnie the Pooh horror movie. And I think a lot of that, I mean, we're going to get stupid stuff like that. And I think the combination of dumb stuff like that and then things like Sora, like AI, whatever, we're going to be able to publish, like, a single guy in his living room who's going to be able to write an entire awful, horrible movie based on intellectual property that we already know about.
Present.
And probably make decent money.
Kyle's already doing it.
I'm going to make the worst thing ever. So that brings
up another story I've been seeing. So Meta is talking about having AI accounts on Facebook that are just AI, but they have a profile, and I'm sure they'll post at least 47,000 times a day.
Oh my gosh.
Here's the thing with that.
Like YouTube Shorts.
I used to love, I do like social media. I still don't hate it. I barely do anything on Facebook anymore. I still post once in a while for my family and my friends, which is what I'm assuming you're supposed to use it for, but I don't go up there and actively scroll through it anymore because it's all AI garbage. Like we've successfully ruined it. What was it? The Webster's word of 2024 was brain rot. Was that it, or something like that? And you scroll through
Skibidi Toilet.
Yeah, and it's
present.
You totally see it happen, right? Like you just see the most mind-numbingly bland content repeated back over and over and over again, and the algorithms know, like, hey, here you like comic books. I'm gonna AI generated recaps of comic book stories like 1,000 times. It's horrible.
So is social media on the way out? Is 2025 the last year of social media?
I think it's gonna hurt their numbers. Their viewership's gonna drop because the glut of AI is gonna turn people off, and they're gonna have to dial it way back or really improve it. But just that much content, and then Chad, like you're saying, it's the same thing over and over, like 100 different ways with different voices, different graphics, but it's the same, 10 things we didn't know about the pyramids.
It is a little depressing, right? Because it used to be nice. You'd go on there and you'd see families grow up and grow old together. And it is so, and to a degree, you used to be able to filter a lot of that out. But it's too much now. Like you can't just see your friends, your family, like what you want to see, what I go there for. And so I don't think it's going away, but I think Facebook itself is, that is a dying product. Like that is an absolute dying.
What will be the blue sky of Facebook?
Blue sky.
Is MySpace coming back to regain the crown?
Tom, have you seen, like, the dude is just thriving. Like, he sold his company at the peak of its value, and he then disappeared. And I think that guy is as happy as possible.
This guy's on an island.
He's your idol.
Yeah. It's really.
I mean, I definitely idolize him a lot more than I idolize some of the folks that have maybe kept their control of their companies a little bit too long and hung out, built giant estates on Hawaii or clocks in mountains or anything like that.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I used to love that stuff. I still like it. And when I come across something from a friend, like one of my favorite days on Facebook is that week in February, late August, early September, when you see everybody's first day of school pics. I'm like, this is exactly what this is built for, right? Like,
right.
That kid is, a little bit
growing
bigger.
up.
Yeah, whatever, right?
Ultimately, it's just what those companies focus on, right? Like all I see is them pushing for user minutes, right? Like can we keep people engaged? Can we keep people scrolling? And yeah, if you run out of it, if it's all natural content, you can scroll for 10 minutes and that's your Facebook feed for the day, right? You'll come back tomorrow. But yeah, if you can AI generate it, then it never ends and people will just stay there and doom scroll forever. But if that's the metric they're focused on, then quality is not part of it, right? At all.
The shoes I'm wearing are because I saw an ad on Facebook and I love them. They're called Kiziks because you can slip them on. I don't have to bend over, which is great. Another prediction, I think that we're going to see more streaming services being consolidated under large company umbrellas. And I'm on the Disney Hulu Max plan now. And
but only that plan?
What's next? I'm on the Amazon Prime with the Paramount channel for all the Star Trek.
Yeah.
I think I'm feeling like they're getting way more aggressive with ads. Like YouTube got really, I think they just were like, we're done with this ad blocking stuff. So now there's this battle between the ad blockers and YouTube. And so if you have an ad blocker, it'll work for a day, then it won't, then it will, then it won't. And getting an ad after 1 minute, an ad to start with, an ad after 1 minute of content, then another minute, there's an ad.
Yeah.
I
had no idea because I pay for YouTube Music. Like I want to listen to that without ads, but then it's the same subscription as just YouTube. Like they're the same thing. So I've been watching YouTube for years with no ads. But yeah, I was at family's house and I was like, you should watch Vice Script Garage. There's a free plug for me. And those videos are 2 hours long. And like you said, it's just nonstop. And he's real slow at what he does. And so nothing will get accomplished fixing this car. And then it's an ad. And then nothing will get accomplished and it's another ad. And it's like a grind.
I want to see their dropout rates compared to a year ago. Because I'll just bail. And I'm with all of the bot content, the ad stuff and all that, I've kind of just bailed on YouTube unless it's a specific thing I want to look for or like a music video. I think they got smart with music because for a while there, it was like middle of a song, you get an ad. It's really disappointing.
So is YouTube going away in 2025?
No, it's still too big.
Yeah, there's no
but it's a
viable
fight.
substitute.
So Vimeo isn't going to take over and come back?
I think the market is saturated. I just don't there's no more time and humans and interest to cover all of the stuff that's out there now. So I think there's going to be a battle. The competition is huge. And, when Netflix was the only game in town, when I delivered for Domino's Pizza right when they opened, it was great. Made tons of money because we were it and had that guarantee and, would just speed like crazy. And the cops didn't seem to care because I think they thought it was funny. All of the pizza guys just...
As long as you had a Domino's light on top of your car, you could do whatever you want.
They're one of us. Yeah. Yeah, I got pulled over once and he's like, oh, you got to make your delivery? Okay, go ahead. You mentioned, Eric, something about generative AI.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess, for me, it's what I'm hoping will happen. There's more of a hope will happen, maybe, is it feels like they've been content to just ignore a lot of the issues with that technology, and I'm curious if they'll proactively address any of that stuff, or if they'll be forced to at some point. But it seems like there's not a lot of pushback on it. I know New York Times is pushing back on copyright issues, right? They're suing them, and that's going to go on for years and years and years. I mean, I checked, and like basically nothing has happened in the last year on that lawsuit. But I've heard some stuff about like because it's controversial in for movies and video games and stuff of using AI, using voice generation, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of those jobs are union jobs, and so I think I've already heard it's some unions are starting to put anti-generative content clauses in their contracts, right? Where it's kind of the same all or nothing. Like you have to hire from our union or not at all. And it'll be the same thing of you have to use humans or not at all, right?
Or no humans, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that'll be a bigger issue with that, and to force studios to not press forward on that. And really there's been a lot of flat growth on some of that. You look at in some areas where it's very prominent, like self-driving with Teslas, where I know if you listen to what their marketing says, it's every version is the greatest version to ever exist, and the last version is the worst version. But but when you look at the numbers, like into people independently tracking it, it's just flat. Right, like there's no improvement on miles per intervention or anything like that. And ultimately, I think for people to like, there's a novelty there. So there's a period here where there's a novelty where people are excited to see it, and it's fun and new and different. But we got to get better than the average person at some point for it to really take hold. And that flat growth is really making that hard. Right, it'll be interesting to see when there starts to be some pushback on those things, and when the novelty starts wearing off, and when it's serious business, they'll have to get addressed.
I mean, the real question is, when are the DOTs going to start building roads that are better for AI or self-driving than they are for humans, right?
Yeah, and I genuinely expect in my lifetime that there'll be legislation to even say like, this is the way it needs to be, because it's just safer, right? Like you'll get me 80 years old still trying to drive my car manually, and they won't allow it anymore. We will get there. But yeah, to your point, what can we do to assist them? Because they interact with the world in a different way than us.
I mean, really just put rails down on the interstates and call it good.
Trolleys. The future is trolleys, self-driving trolleys
with little interactive faces on the front.
Are they going to let the airplanes take off and land themselves and fly themselves? Do you need pilots anymore?
They do today. Yeah, they do today.
Pilots are there, like we're the backstop. Something goes wrong.
Well, that's true of a lot of AI stuff, right? Is you got to kind of babysit it to a degree, right?
Yeah.
And like in Chad's example earlier, like it makes somebody who's a seasoned engineer more productive, because they can validate the output, right? They can produce it, you validate it, you can fix the quirks, you can get it working. You know what it's supposed to look like, and you can ignore when it's wrong. But it's hard when you get somebody new. It doesn't genuinely make a junior person more productive.
So it makes a junior person worse.
in a way.
Well, I think
they're not learning.
It's kind of the Dunning-Kruger thing. I think there's a maturity that'll come along with understanding what AI is giving you, that it's like is this your card? But it states it as a fact. AI is way too confident. ChatGPT is way too confident when it states things as facts. Here's the same picture with a guy without a beard. And it's like he's got the Rip Van Winkle going, and it's like, no, it's not. So
and the value might not be what people expect it to be too. Like you never know, because like my wife and I, we just entered into the space age here by getting a robot vacuum, which has AI features that we haven't enabled. But I'm watching this thing run around my house doing an absolutely terrible job vacuuming. It's just awful. But at the same time, I wasn't vacuuming, so it's still actually doing a way better job than me, because it's only doing better than me if I was actually doing it.
Better than nothing, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the value is absolutely there, because even though it's really bad, it's willing to just set out and do it every day religiously on time, no matter what, with no excuses. So there's value there.
I think they should have to report, if they're going to report every single time a self-driving car misbehaves, they should also have to report every time a driver misbehaves. Because otherwise they're putting this perception out there that like these things don't work, they're dangerous, they're not there yet. And I think they're super close. It's like, is it better than people? And is it a better driver than 80-year-old Eric Snyder?
Right. Well, it's really, at least for now, is 80-year-old Eric driving with AI together better than just me alone? And I would say absolutely. But is it ready to because once it's fully autonomous, then who is liable for the mistake it makes?
Did you see the video of the self-driving car that got pulled over by the cops? And there's no one in the car.
Right.
But the service is being monitored by humans. So now he's basically talking to like whatever the OnStar is. Who do you give the ticket to?
Right. That's exactly my point is, when it runs over a pedestrian, God forbid, who's liable for that? And I think the position they want to put themselves in is nobody somehow. Yeah. And so if that's the case, right, then it's absolutely reasonable to assume that this thing is like 1,000 times better than a human being, and not just marginally better.
I think the one who benefits the most. So like if it's a Tesla self-driving thing and it gets a ticket, Elon Musk should have to pay for it out of his own pocket.
He's got
all the money. Yeah.
If that was on the sticker, I might buy a Tesla.
Elon paid your tickets.
Yeah.
Right there, huh?
So Chad, are you on Blue Sky Social? Is it going to make it? Is it gonna?
I think it's already made it. I mean, they've passed the, I forget how many million user mark. The bummer is that I just checked, and like the last 20 people that followed me all seem to be bots. So the fact that they've attracted the attention of bot farms, I think, is an indicator of their early success, but also kind of a warning sign for not so fun to come. I have faith, though. I hope the company makes it. I hope they come up with a strategy to handle this and make it like what it is today, which is like a very the interactions here are a lot nicer than what I've seen on the other ones. Outside of, Facebook is still like, family and friends commenting and liking and all that stuff. But compared to the other similar platform, this is far and away better. It feels very much like what that was, 15 years ago.
I think there's a vibe there when you sign up. And like there was kind of a grassroots movement, had it with a tacit understanding that we're going to be nice to each other. This is not going to be the same thing. We're not going to do all this. This is like, we're just going to make this a better, more friendly place. And from what I've seen is I use Blue Sky for my, like Zen feed, where it's all just animals and funny stuff and all of that. It's very relaxing. Capybaras, red pandas, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think so far, it's still nice. It's but so was Twitter in, I want to say like 2009. Yeah. I think I joined in like 07-ish. I think, I forget. 07 was early-ish, I think. And it was just us goofing around and like figuring it out, and it was fun, right? A lot of, I was at a different consulting company back then, but it was us. It was almost like a way for like Slack for us, right? Like everybody was on that, and we'd poke each other and we'd be able to say, this feels very much like that, where it's the people that aren't bots are people that I know personally that follow me and that I communicate with. And I kind of hope it stays that way. I think next year is going to be huge for them. They got to figure out a way to, get rid of the auto-generated garbage content that has infected every other platform. And then I think everybody right now loves that their feed isn't algorithmically like forced on them, right? Like they have, it's still, here's the people I follow. I can actually see their stuff. It's not like being hidden from me, or it's not being bookended by like absolute garbage that turns my brain off. It's actual decent stuff.
Yeah, it's not like shoving you in an echo chamber.
Right.
Because it learned what you liked the first couple days you used it, and now it's like, okay, this is everything. So that's what he's going to get. Whatever it is, people can ruin it.
Yeah. And they've done a good job of like, they create starter packs, right? So I'm a baseball guy. So here's a baseball starter pack with all of the validated like authors from some of the sports magazines and local news. So here's that, and then here's I do follow tech, so here's like a bunch of the tech people that have migrated over here. Like they have all these different ways to follow your interests in a very different way than what the other platform has done, and I like that a lot. So hopefully it makes it. Hopefully they don't get overrun by generative nonsense, and we have it for. I mean, all of these things have a lifespan, like I think a decade, right? Seems like a nice run for a social media platform. So I hope we get.
I mean, that sounds like MySpace, like Facebook, like Twitter. All of those things had about a good decade of
you get a good
prosperity.
Decade. Yeah, and then you get a garbage decade. So I hope we're on the early end of our good decade. And
I got another prediction.
Yeah.
By the end of the year, there will be a leash law for drones. So you have to have it tethered, attached to you.
I don't believe that at all.
Only fly it like 5 feet up.
Maybe electronic.
The drone fear, the drone panic, as they build bigger and stronger quadcopters that can, lift people and carry them around.
They're flying cars, man.
They've had flying cars for a long time. They're called airplanes.
They're still missing the last mile mark, which is the biggest problem with most of that technology.
The HOA will still not let me park it in my driveway, so it doesn't qualify.
I just hope we can enforce noise laws. I don't mind the drones. I don't. I don't love the buzzing that I hear all the time now when I go to the park. And I don't know if this is just me where I'm at, but it seems like there's always somebody flying his little thing around, and it's that constant.
Maybe the prediction is that there will be specific drone parks like there are dog parks.
Yeah. I mean, we've already, I remember during COVID, they shut down a Twins game because somebody flew a drone onto the field in like the 6th inning. So I think they already have, they're already enforcing something close to trespassing laws with respect to drones. The guy that flew that into the Twins game got in trouble, got in a lot of trouble. But I just don't want to hear him at the park. I don't want to.
Is it because he landed it or because he flew it over the airspace?
I think he flew it over the airspace. I think it was I don't even think it was on the field. I think it was in the left field bleacher, it was over the right field bleachers because the dude was in that parking ramp behind it.
Yeah.
And he was flying it over the right field bleachers just so he could kind of watch the game on his little drone screen.
Right.
And he got in. I forget exactly what his fine was, but it was something. So
it was enough to prevent parking lot drone activity.
I think so. Yeah, it's monitored. No.
Yeah. On a good note, I think we're going to see more controls around the deep fake type stuff. We've had laws here, but now there's a federal law that you can't disseminate fake pictures of people on the internet or wherever. The cyberbullying, stuff like that. I think we're going to see more crackdown on that kind of stuff, which is good.
Yeah, you just reminded me of a part of parenting I'm not looking forward to. Because when we grew up, it wasn't really a thing, cyberbullying. So, and my daughter's 5 right now, so she uses technology, but she's not on the internet. And so, I'm definitely not looking forward to that.
Well, I think it's because my kids all grew up my oldest boys grew up on the early end of that, and my daughter probably lived through the worst of it. And it was, I think the thing that I've noticed more than anything is that they do not care about social media at all, right? They're on the things that let them directly communicate with their friends. But my daughter doesn't, she's on Instagram, but she doesn't actually post content. My sons are on some of the things, but that's only to receive messages. So the killer app for all of these things is the direct message functionality and not necessarily them posting deep fakes of a kid they don't like at school. So hopefully, Eric, you fall into that same category, and it's not, because for me, I was worried about that too. I was super nervous about all of the kids getting
when they get their first phone, right?
Yeah. And it's funny. I was talking about this with my kids. The boys, it was weird because my oldest is freaking 30 now. So for him, when he was a kid, he wanted a phone, but I'm like, hey man, it was 2005, right? I'm like, you're 10 years old. You don't need a phone yet. By the time my daughter got to that age, it was weird that she didn't have one. So you have this little battle between all right, when do all their friends get it? I don't want to give it to you too early, but then I also don't want to give it to you, too late so that you're
Don't be first, don't be last, right?
exactly.
Right. Find the average.
That was like the BB gun conundrum. Like, how old do you have to be to get your first one pump Daisy, Red Ryder, whatever that is? Too young, too old. The phone thing, though, it's being able to track your kids. I think that's why get a hold of them at all times. I think that's why kids have phones.
I will say that the tracking features, and my kids know it. They track me just as much as I track them, and probably sometimes more. They're like, "Oh, you're still at home." Yes, I am. You can see that on your phone. Has been a super amazing feature that didn't really see coming, right?
I think it's the first thing that my kids turned off. His location.
Yeah.
Well,
So I had them chipped.
boys are older. I
to
don't.
the
Does
vet.
your daughter have it off? She's turned it off.
She turned off location services, and she kind of outgrew the what was there was an app that we put on there that could actually like control
Life 360 or something else.
where it controlled her ability to turn that stuff off.
Oh, yeah.
She found somebody at school that was able to get that off of there for her. So it is a nuclear arms race with these kids where you're trying to keep up with how much they know about the device. We just stopped eventually. But yes, I would imagine that would be a killer feature. That would have helped me out a lot. One of my kids drove all the way to Kansas City once because he met a girl. So wish I would have had it then.
I never drove to Kansas City, but my kids have driven to Chicago by themselves. And, it's nice to see where they are and maybe make some suggestions about which road they should be taking at this time of night or whatever.
Yeah, there's only a handful of people that can see my location, and I've had questions.
I can see it. I know where you're at right now. So air tagging everything, cameras everywhere. That's what worries me about like AI and kind of the nanny state, where it just makes it really, it can do gait analysis, and it's not like I'm out, doing evil, but I still don't really want them all up in my business tracking
Still
me.
want to speed every once in a while, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes you're in a hurry.
every day.
Got to get that pizza
I
there.
call that driving.
It took a McDonald's employee in Allentown, Pennsylvania to find one of the most wanted people in America just a month ago, right?
Right.
AI, cameras, not everything else. So I think we're still probably at least a good generation or two away from that being a thing that regular people have to worry about. I mean, if that guy was able to do what he did and get all the way out of like the busiest city in the freaking world without being, tracked every step of the way, I think Kyle from Golden Valley you're probably safe.
All right.
Yeah, the FBI seems to want
I
nothing.
hear the drones
nothing more.
coming. I hear the drones.
The FBI seems to want to do nothing more than catch the person who put the bombs in January 6th. Like, they're obsessed with it, and they got nothing. They have so much evidence, so much information. They've tracked so many leads, and can't figure it out. So we've all
That's a lot there, Kyle.
we've all had our toe in the government. We all know how disorganized they are to a degree, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's another part of it, right? Is let's say you have whatever the zeta bit is. If you have zeta bytes of picture data, yes, you have all the pictures, but you have all the pictures. And you have to be able to go through zettabytes of data in a short amount of time. And that's where I think where the challenge is. It's not the gathering, it's the filtering.
And if any of you leave that service running over the weekend on our AWS, there'll be trouble. I'll show up at your house.
Yeah, I mean, I overhauled my camera security system at home, and I can't get the thing to not think that the perfectly still concrete rooster in my driveway isn't a person. So I get like 90% of the snaps it takes are of that statue over and over and over again. So
Maybe it's like Baby Groot. Maybe just when you look at it, it's like the those weeping angels on Doctor Who. Nerd alert.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's actually the AI in his home security system is obsessed with the chicken, but it doesn't know how to express it other than taking pictures.
Yep, it's in love.
Yeah.
I was wondering why there was little like hearts on all around it.
Yep. Now you know.
Just play at the Werner Herzog interview where he talks about like how much he hates chickens. It's the greatest thing ever. It's one of my favorite things. Chad, self-driving motorcycles.
No. You mean what are they? Segways?
If your motorcycle could
Tremondo.
drive itself, would you?
The entire reason of owning a motorcycle is to be able to drive it and to enjoy, some kind of freedom. I'm actually getting rid of this spring. This is my last season riding And we have an agreement. If I get rid of the motorcycle, I'm buying a car that's fun instead of a motorcycle, which would
more stability, four-wheel stability instead of two-wheel stability.
Four-wheel stability instead of two, and it's probably time. Most motorcycle fatalities happen for individuals in their 50s to 70s, right? It's not the kids on the crotch rockets. It's older fellas that think they can still, respond and do everything at the same level that they used to be able to. So I am reaching a milestone this year, and with that comes...
You had a good run.
Sport car milestone.
Yeah. Nothing to be ashamed of, Chad.
All my friends that were born in 1975 with me, we all just looked at the calendar and went from 2024 to 2025, and we're like, oh God, that's right. that means that math is easy to do in our head, and kind of a bummer. But yes, I am retiring from motorcycle riding, getting something safer. Well, relatively safe.
But there again, if your motorcycle could drive itself and you didn't push the speed too much, then
I am looking forward to so I rented a car last December in Florida, and I think it was this BMW SUV thing, right?
Yep.
And I just have my truck, right? My truck is pretty basic. It's old and I like it. But it had the lane assist stuff, and so I was trying to leave the lane, the wheel would fight you a little bit.
Fight you?
Still kind of get over. But my goodness, I feel like that's the kind of machine learning AI type stuff that's really going to save lives, right? Because if you have too many drinks and you just you can't get talked out of, that's going to help you get home. And that's a horrible, horrible, horrible example. But
if you're eating a taco driving down the interstate, you're not actually going to slip lanes and knock anybody off the road.
There is such a thing as saving people from themselves.
Yeah, distracted driving, impaired driving, all of these things are going to be helped with AI. And self-driving cars, great. It's not really going to be a thing in cold weather states for a very, very long time because of what we do to our roads and what our roads get covered with. You got to be able to actually, But I think the potential there is huge for getting people from one place to another safely, and getting the people and keeping the people around them pretty safe. Protecting people from.
I think that might be one of the big selling points of AI in automobiles and stuff is the insurance will incentivize that, because they're going to fleece you if you don't have those safety features, because your risk will go off the charts. So they'll raise the rates for the people that don't have it, and they'll stabilize the rates for the people that do. They're not going to lower anything ever. But yeah. All right. Any parting thoughts? We got 3 minutes.
2025 is boring. I would like a really boring year.
A rebuilding year.
Given what happened on January 1st so far, I'm not hopeful that it's going to be as boring as I wish or as I want, but I am desperately hoping for a boring year. And also, two cool things are going to happen in 2025. The Vikings are going to win the Super Bowl in about 6 weeks, and the Twins are going to win the World Series, and the Timberwolves are going to continue to collapse in on themselves.
No matter what, huh?
Are you? Do you watch basketball, Chad?
I watch it when it's on at the bar that I go to. I guess I watch a lot of basketball. That's what I'm saying. But I don't turn it on.
I kind of got out of sports. The only sport that I really like is in person, at the arena, Xcel Energy Center, watching the Wild. And I don't go, but if someone said, "Hey, I got tickets," I would definitely go to that.
You go.
Right. I'm not trying to fish for free tickets to the Wild or anything like that. Season passes, box seats,
Kyle Bacher
four box seats. All right.
I was looking. This topic reminded me of my favorite tech predictions feed is there's a thing on Twitter called legit whatever leaks. It's legit Apple leaks. It'll be things like the new iPhone will have a battery, or or the new Nintendo console will play video games and that kind of stuff. I'm with Chad, where I just want a boring year where everything is just incremental. Stuff you can anticipate. September will come and there'll be a new iPhone. In 6 months, Google will rebrand its version of ChatGPT to something else, right? Just the same boring stuff. Just have a boring year, will be fine.
I think if your Windows 10 machine does not support the upgrade, when the support stops, you're going to get maybe another month before Microsoft pushes out an update that just destroys it.
It just
Smoke,
implodes.
fire.
That is
Time
my
for
like.
Linux.
If we're gonna do secret envelope predictions, that's mine. Is that Microsoft will push out the Windows 10, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
I hope so, because I have a computer at home that is end of life, and I just put more memory in it.
I think this is the year that AI becomes slightly more useful. I don't think it's the year that it takes over.
I think it's the year where people will find the utility, like the things that work for them, those things will improve because they'll follow the adoption, and everything else is going to be kind of a, wait and see. Someday it'll happen. It's just not there yet. And I think with that, we can say goodbye, everybody. Solution Design Group is a digital product consultancy in Minneapolis. Check us out on the web at solutiondesign.com or look for us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram at Solution Design Group.